This week at the table, we had Natasha McMichael, a 21-year veteran design leader in tech. Yes, y'all, we had to give her all the flowers she deserves. She deserves the roses, for real. A Black woman in tech, flourishing and thriving in a 21-year-old career. We talked about everything from systematic racism in hiring, how to be successful in your tech career, what to look for in your next tech job, and how to stand out right now in the current job market in tech. So pull up a chair, we saved you a seat. Let's get into the episode.
Hey ladies.
Hey.
We here.
It's the Boomology Effect. And I'm so happy to have you.
Thank
I'm so
you.
happy that you are joining me for my first episode. And all of the things. This is our first dinner since Afrotech.
I'm excited for you. This is really
Thank
cool.
you.
This is a
Thank
cool idea.
you. So let's get into it.
Okay.
So 21 years in the game.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
Tell me about that journey. Tell me about what it feels like to know that you're a mom, a Black woman, a trailblazer, a history maker, a glass, what is it called? Glass ceiling shatterer.
Yeah.
So tell me what it feels like to have that under your belt, 21 years in the game.
It's a lot. And hearing you say it back, it also feels like these years have just kind of blown by.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just have to sit back and think, wow, the magnitude of all of that. And I don't really know. I don't think about that type of thing until somebody
Points it out.
says it back to me. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm giving you your flowers. That's why you're here.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, guys, this is episode 1. We don't have a flower sponsor yet, but you might get something in the mail. Who knows?
Oh my gosh. I just love I'm just happy to be here and be the first guest. So I appreciate that.
Yes, I'm giving you your flowers and just like congratulations, much respect and admiration for how far you've come. I think I'm like 9 years in the game, so 21 years in the game, that is like major. And you gotta, sometimes I feel like we let that kind of, even just like regular wins or accomplishments, we kind of just like breeze through it. Like you said, like it's just going. But then you gotta take a step back and really like let that sink in. Like let's marinate in our wins.
Yeah.
You know?
You're so right. I think not just with, your accomplishments in your career, but also just things in everyday life. I have this little book that I bought myself years ago, and the title of it is called Awesome Me. And it gives like...
I love that. Where'd you get that from?
I don't know, but I can certainly... It's on Amazon. But the pages in it allows you to jot down the smallest notes, no matter how big or small. Just jot down your little wins, and then you reflect back on that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I just do it in my phone, so that's
there you go.
That's a better way to do it. So, just so our listeners know, the audience knows, we are 3% in an industry that employs millions around the world.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to UX, both of us are in UX. So, shout out to UX, babe. So when it comes to UX, I think we're at 1%.
Yeah.
So how does that maybe impact or translate your day-to-day work in not being able to... I've only had one black female manager in my entire career. So when we think of things like that, has that impacted you at all?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really disheartening to hear that number is still so low, even though so many of us are entering into this profession. But I think, if I think back, I don't know if I've ever had, when I was officially in a tech-driven role, that I've ever had a manager, skip level, that has been a person of color. Like, not ever.
Not ever. I'm one and you're never.
Right, like not ever. I will say, I remember one peer of mine came to me one day. This was like years ago. I had a earlier company, and she said, "Do you realize that you are the most senior person of color in the entire organization?" Now, this is our tech and marketing organization. Yeah, and I had to sit with that for a little while. Because what a responsibility, you know?
Yeah.
So, fast forward a few years when we were able to build a team, I was very intentional about making sure that at least the roles that I had control over.
Yes.
I was not only picking the people who are deserving, qualified, but intentional about looking for people of color.
Yeah.
So I ended up with a pretty diverse team.
And to stay on that for a minute, even that is systematic, right?
Yeah.
Because I know when I was a manager, I'm back to being an IC now, but when I was a manager, I even had to disrupt the hiring system because they're like, oh, we want to be diverse. We want to hire people of color, you know, LGBT, neurodiverse, whoever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, they came back and said like, oh, the resume's kind of flawed. We're having a hard time, whatever. I'm like, where are you even looking for these people? Have you tapped into? Tell me one HBCU that you put this job out to.
And
one,
you get crickets. They don't know.
They haven't done it.
But here's the thing. I learned that early on too. You have to give them that information sometimes. And you know, it's not our responsibility to help HR find the right people, but it's our responsibility to our community to be able to do that. And if we want to create impactful change, we have to do that. So not just with HBCUs and students, but also the vendors that you're working with. You know?
Yeah.
What talent are you getting for these photo shoots? Like the entire system.
The entire system, because I know some people who, you know, and this is a privilege, so I'm not going to speak like it's whatever, but some people will not even, they're looking at a job, they saw a job, LinkedIn, whatever, then go onto the company's page and they don't see anybody of any sort of diversity, they will just be like, I'm not applying for this job.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah,
I've got news to make.
Yeah. So it's so systematic, and it's definitely causing us to move backwards. It's not really causing any change. It's not even producing really any change. I mean, when you did hire a diverse team, when you looked around, like, was your team like the most diverse? Like, was there anyone else doing it?
No. Well, like I said, one of my peers said you're the most senior manager. So the teams that were diverse, they were mainly ICs. It wasn't in management. It wasn't in like senior leadership roles. Going back to one thing you said too, is that people look at a company and don't see people of color there, or in any type of level of diversity. You never know until you get in there. And that's a really good question to ask when you're in the hiring process.
Me too.
You know,
I ask it as far as, for me, I'm always looking at leadership and management, just because of the level I'm at in my career.
Sure.
And you can even see it through your levels of interviews and your stages of your interview. Like, okay, if the only people I've interviewed with are just white male or white female, that's not looking too good here.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said, that's
or when you bring the team on a Zoom call.
Oh,
you bring 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
From the team on a Zoom, because a lot of interviews are virtual now. And so not only the managers that you had,
the entire team,
but the entire team, no one.
Yeah. And I don't think there's a real incentive for the hiring managers to do it. Not everywhere.
Well, it's been a few, but you're right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much incentive.
No. Like when I think about all of my past companies, there wasn't much incentive. Now there was a statement in HR, we value diversity, that sort of thing. That really boilerplate type of approach. But no. Sometimes you have to be the change.
Yeah.
And
also I want to speak to, it's okay if you don't want to bear that
it is
that cross
okay
either.
It is.
It's totally okay if you don't want to be the savior, because I've been there too.
Oh my gosh, I've always been the savior.
I've been the savior and then not the savior. I'm not your savior at all.
So I'm not your savior at all.
Not your savior at all. I don't know what you guys believe, but go to Christ. It's not me. But so let's get into your hiring process. So
Yeah.
you recently broke into big tech.
Yeah.
Anyone doesn't know what that means, we're talking about the Microsofts of the world. We're talking about those large companies that have certain amount of people, certain amount of revenue, certain amount of years in the technology game, etc. So let's talk about how you found success in your hiring process to even getting there. Because there's a lot of assumptions about working in big tech, and we can get to those later. But how did you find success in the interview process?
Well, I will tell you what I have learned over the years. I've taken what I've learned from every role, and it's just kind of compounded. Specifically around soft skills. I can't stress that enough. You'll probably hear me talk about that this entire night.
Listen, soft skills ain't soft. That's gonna be a post coming. So if I see y'all take
soft, I love it.
If I see somebody with that caption, I know that you heard it from me.
Yeah, you better copyright that or something.
I need
trademark
because I'm always talking about it too.
I love it. Yeah, but things like good communication skills, being able to tell a good story about your work and about yourself, being able to brand yourself is so important. So like for me, I very strategically built a brand for myself. So I became a part of the community. I became a known leader in the U.S. community here in Charlotte. People knew me. I've reached out and I helped people with their interviewing skills, with their resume skills, like all of these things. So it really just built on to my skill set outside of just being able to design and being able to be a people manager. I'm also able to communicate effectively about my experiences, my challenges, where I've had successes, all around a product and user experience. And it's helped me tremendously. But here's one thing that really set me apart. And I didn't think about it. Here's the gem. I realized I spent a good bit of time doing research on social media. Then I'll take the information and go through it. But I started reaching out. I went to LinkedIn, looked up recruiters at companies that I was interested in, and started reaching out to them after I got my resume together, after I got my talking points together. But I reached out to them directly. I applied for roles that I wanted, and then found the person and said, hey, I'm interested in this role. I just applied to it. Here's my resume. Do you have any suggestions on how I can get in front of the hiring manager? And 9 times out of 10, that has worked for me. So I tell that to everybody. Don't be scared to reach out, and they appreciate it.
For me, that has also always, before I had the brand, so it's interesting you're talking about it because you have to have that brand too, even in order to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not going to reach out to someone on LinkedIn, or I'm not going to reach out to somebody who vouches for me. If they don't know the brand, then they can't really vouch for me.
You don't necessarily need a brand because there's a lot of young people you may just be out of school. You may be switching careers. It's okay. That's another thing we probably need to talk about tonight too.
Let's get into it.
You don't have to be an expert.
For
whatever role, you know.
And you don't have to fully meet all of the qualifications.
You don't.
Like meet 75% and let finesse do the rest.
You might not even need 75%.
You might not.
Think of it like when going into the US, I hear a lot of people say they get a lot of no's. You should expect a whole lot of no's.
Expect a whole lot of no's whenever trying something.
Exactly. And it's okay because you're going to learn from that.
Yeah.
So if you happen to reach out and you don't have all of the qualifications for that role, that person, I'm sure recruiter, I'm sure will spend probably 15 minutes with you saying, these are the things you need to focus on. These are the things you can work on. And you've also made a connection in the process.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win situation.
That comes down to feedback too.
Exactly.
And then your ability to consume the feedback.
Yes.
Your ability to not get in your feelings about the feedback.
And
then your ability to know what to take from the feedback and what to throw in the garbage.
Yes.
Not all.
That's right. You don't need it all.
Not all of the feedback is going to be useful for you.
Right.
So
exactly.
That's a big one too. Now let's talk about imposter syndrome. For me, it's a dirty word. I'm not
so big.
It's meaty, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot going on there. With imposter syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
first I want to talk about your journey into big tech. Did you face it? Did it start creeping in?
I can honestly today say no.
Okay.
And I can't say I mastered it. I'm still working on it. Because you hear the biggest names, people that's out there, celebrities talk about imposter syndrome that they still have today. So it's still there. But I know that I'm good at what I do. And I don't need to be validated by anybody else.
Don't need a validation.
That's me with 21 some odd years. That's me being a mom of a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old. Like, I've got some life behind me.
Some life.
You know what I mean?
The life was lifing.
Right,
You
right.
got it in there.
So the imposter syndrome, not so much anymore, but it was a very real thing for a very, very long time.
And then what's your at that time, if you could speak to and go back maybe to a memory or experience, what was your relationship with it then? Because I know you're talking about now. And I mean, I as well have got to a place where I don't really believe in imposter syndrome for myself, because I heard one time, like, imposter syndrome, first we got to look at imposter. Like, I don't feel like an imposter.
Right.
Now, feeling nervous and feeling scared is a whole different situation than feeling like an imposter.
Right.
I'm walking in me 1010% every single day. I don't feel like an imposter.
Right.
But do I get nervous? Do I get like
absolutely?
Do you like shrink a little bit sometimes?
Yeah. And I still do too.
Yeah.
And I always tell my daughters, do it scared. You're gonna get scared. Do it scared.
Do it scared. So obviously you got to this point. So would you say in those times you were doing it scared? Like, what's your mindset? Tell me about how you pushed through at those earlier times when you had the imposter syndrome.
Before I just kind of fumbled my way through it, I hear about people talking more about what imposter syndrome is these days, but I would ask questions, use my resources. So if I'm trying to go for a particular role earlier in my career, I was asking people that I knew from other roles. I Googled a lot. I learned a lot just by researching on my own.
Google University.
Yeah, that's what it is.
YouTube University.
Yeah. So asking questions, I think, will help, because the more information you have, I think the more confident that you would feel going into a situation. Yeah.
I think there's also a level of information gap, right? To me, I think when I look at
what do you mean?
To me, information gap is like, we kind of all to some degree have access to the basics of things now, today in 2023.
Yes.
So in some ways it really shouldn't be a gap, because there's things that are out there and publicly available.
It's so much stuff that's publicly available. It's a lot of bad information too. So you do really have to be careful about where you're getting information from. So one of the biggest things that I'm seeing now, like over these years being in UX, is that there's a lot of universities and boot camps like popping up. But they may not always be the best source of information. Like, you can learn the basics, but getting into the real world of being on a team is not one-to-one. Wait, I gotta say this thing about this imposter syndrome.
Okay.
This
take us back.
I'm gonna take you back. So, looking back now, if I had to tell myself something, it's more of use your resources and support system as a sounding board. So now I know whenever I'm feeling like I may not be adequate enough, if it does pop up, or if I'm getting nervous, I've got my girlfriends that I can say, hey y'all, this is what's happening, this is what I have coming up, and that's there for me. But also there's so many good books, and I will send you a book that I gave my daughters about changing your mindset, and it's all about confidence. I'll send it to you.
there will be so many resources linked to this episode. So
I've got a lot.
you can send them on over, and we'll just put them in the show notes and in the blog post and get it in there.
Cool.
So let's talk about you kind of talk about confidence, and I think this is one of my new favorite questions.
Okay.
Related to confidence. I'm not even going to get into it because I feel like that is another episode.
Yeah.
That is a bit of a therapy session.
Okay.
So we're not going to do it today.
Okay.
But what's your relationship with ego?
Ego.
Yes. And yeah, I got some questions on this, but what's your relationship with ego?
I'm gonna have to ask a clarifying question. What does ego mean to you, so I know how to answer this?
Ego is what I'm gonna put it right back on you. Ego is what you said earlier. I know that I am good at what I do.
Yeah.
I know what I know.
Yeah.
I know that this thing is for sure.
Yeah.
Like when I show up to do X,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Wireframing. Let's just give an example. I know that I'm top tier in wireframing.
Yeah.
And no one can literally tell me otherwise.
Right.
Like at all, period.
Yeah.
So for me, that's ego. It's a little healthy if used correctly, but it has to be used with self-awareness.
Balance. It has to be balanced.
It
Okay.
has to be balanced.
So for me, if I don't tell myself, who else is gonna tell me
Nobody's
every
coming to save
single
us.
day? Nobody.
Nobody's coming to save us. No.
Nobody.
No. And I got that from Arlen, so shout out to you.
I think everybody needs balance. What I'm saying is that I need to be my own cheerleader. I need to be my own champion.
Because no one is going to do it.
No, nobody's gonna do that. And I don't see it as ego. And if that is what it is, then because to me ego sounds unhealthy.
I think we need to rebrand it.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked the question.
It feels like confidence to me.
It feels like that's because we're thinking of it as a healthy situation,
right.
and not a like narcissist. Like if you're a narcissistic person, though, we obviously shouldn't be having this conversation with you. But I'm just saying, like, I think it goes hand in hand with confidence, and I'm really asking you to get to, because we are underrepresented, underserved, sometimes not listened to, a lot of times not valued. Mm-hmm. Do you think that as a Black woman in tech, at even entry level, mid level, especially as you go up, senior management, executive, do you think you need that healthy ego?
You absolutely do.
I agree.
I've been at the hiring seat for a long time, and my heart just sinks sometimes when I interview people and I see that they're timid, they're unsure. Like, I've learned that when I go into a room, like, I gotta get my mind right. Whatever that means. If that means putting
and
on
tell us what that means.
Well, for me, it could be Cardi B. It could something.
You gotta get hyped.
I gotta get hyped.
Yeah.
Like Eminem, Lose Yourself. Like, that is my jam to get my mind right. I got one chance.
I
you know
love
what I'm saying?
You got.
Like, what's happening over there? Yeah, but it's good. Yeah, I think about that. I think I'm very intentional about like how I have my hair or what I'm wearing for the occasion, what color I'm gonna wear, if I'm gonna wear black or like neutral colors, how big these earrings are gonna be for this particular occasion. Like whatever it is I gotta do to take up space, I'm taking up space.
I love it.
That wasn't me before. That's me today. I'm taking up all the space.
Tell us about the switch then. Tell us about
it's just a growth journey.
Kinda...
I think it's a growth journey. When I start to realize, oh, I'm really good, you start getting validated by people telling you that, oh my gosh, you know, you're doing so much. And you say, you know, I have.
You realize,
yeah. But then you start seeing how your counterparts are in meetings, or how they govern themselves, or how much they know about this industry or product. And you realize they're not doing anything different. What they probably have done, and this is it, is building the right relationships to make the right moves. That's true. That's so important.
I'm starting to realize, and there's no shade to these people, I'm starting to realize some people are not even, some of these gurus aren't even working in tech.
No. Oh gosh. Yeah.
I didn't know that prior to like a month ago. I was like a month ago years old when I
so many
figured
people
out
teaching people to get into this.
Teaching people to get into tech.
They're in academia. Yeah.
Some people teaching people how to get into tech and they never went past 1 or 2 years experience.
Right.
So people in tech that don't know as much as you know, they haven't had the same experience as you. No one has the same experience, but they didn't walk the walk you walk. They didn't gather all the skills you gathered. They didn't have the same prestige, whatever, as you do. And I feel like once you realize that, you start moving different.
You're like, exactly. Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
That guy?
I mean, but then not to take, like you said, not to take anything away from anybody, but when you start to realize the skill sets that they are using to be in the position that they're in, that's a learning opportunity when you recognize that. No, let me
so you can learn
add those things onto mine and move or behave or speak in this way.
Yeah. So, let's go back to, your wonderful experience that we're here celebrating tonight.
Yeah.
What is different now in the UX space, in the tech space? What do you see as what was happening then?
Yeah.
If you can remember.
Yeah.
And then what's happening now, especially as it relates to people getting in and people moving up.
Yeah. Well, there's a few things. I'm going to try to remember all my thoughts. But one, the space is a lot more crowded. There's more opportunity. But it's also very hard to break into certain areas too. One of my former companies, which I think is a good thing. More companies are realizing they need UX, which is great. But they also put in people in charge that don't know a whole lot about UX. So they don't know how to build products. They don't know how to hire people. They don't know how to structure teams. Like all of these things. It's really a good problem to have. But before it's like, what is UX? But now it's, I've heard of UX. We're doing UX, and it's more of teaching and helping people shape what they're doing in that space. Now that I have kind of graduated and kind of gone on to big tech, it is a relief to not have to constantly teach people every day about why UX is valuable or why you need to have these processes in place. But on the flip side of that, there's still like a gap for me. I miss it just a bit. So that's why community is
like IC work?
No, not IC work, but being able to seamlessly help people get into this space.
The mentoring piece.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's a big foundational piece for me. So I have to be creative and find other ways to be able to help people, which is part of my brand is focusing on people who are younger. So pre-K through 12th grade, being able to help show that there is a space here beyond what you probably do. There are roles out here you can do very, very well for yourself in this industry.
Let's talk about what you just mentioned. Thank you for that context about doing very, very well for yourself.
Yeah.
How do you think about that? I know I saw a while back, like tech is like black oil, right? Like,
yeah.
So they used to say stuff like that. So how do you think about that when it comes to? Ooh, it looks so good. Thank you.
Wow, nice. What is that?
That's your peppers.
Oh, is it? No, we're sharing that.
I did not know what to expect, but this is definitely
that was not it.
Because I was like, do I want this? But now I'm like, I want this.
It was really good.
And how it changes your financial status. How it can build generational wealth that most of us and people who look like us were not previously able to access.
I tell you, I didn't realize, like, everywhere I go, I'm very thoughtful, and you can start. I'll talk. You can dig in.
Oh.
I'm very thoughtful in like the companies that I choose. I'm not sure if I always did it exactly right, but I did come away with a lot of good learnings. But what I can say is that as you move from company to company, I mean, like, people aren't staying in the same companies for like all their entire career. You have to be intentional about understanding your worth, making sure you're negotiating, doing your research about what. Ooh, they're hot too. It's steam coming out of this.
So now you gotta get into it.
It looks so good. But that wage gap is crazy. And so just with that alone keeps me going. Like, if I'm consistently finding ways to.
Can I put this on the whole thing?
Yeah. Send that elevator back down. Send a rope back down. Reach my hand back down.
Send a lifeline.
Lifeline, like whatever it is.
Send a kite.
That's another thing. I'm always available. I am easy to find on LinkedIn, my website, like wherever. I'm all about helping people be able to create wealth for their families. And our roles in tech is just a vehicle to get there. So whether you're, regardless of what your career is, use it as a vehicle and teach yourself about how money works. So you're able to leverage
your earnings.
Your
income and double.
Yeah, not just that salary, but the bonus and the equity awards.
And the RDUs and the stock options.
Yeah, the stock options, all of that. Leveraging all of that so it can compound and grow. And I know this is a little bit off topic, but I'm learning about trust and using insurances. There's like a money management, like wealth generation. Yeah.
And having that access to the higher income only opens more doors for you to access more income, for you to access more financial literacy and knowledge about building wealth.
Yeah.
So, you can afford to take out those policies outside of what your job is providing for you.
Yeah. I have a few friends that we talk about how I'm gonna boss up, like do all these big things. Because you gotta have that group with you that's trying to level up with you.
Yes.
And
I need you to put me in that group chat too.
Absolutely. So I found out with one of my girlfriends, like, she was making X amount of dollars. I was like, absolutely not. That's unacceptable. You can't be my friend.
Not you can't be my friend.
No, you cannot be my friend, and I'm not.
And I allow you to be. Yeah.
And I allow you to stay. Yeah. So we went through a few different rounds of helping her find roles, helping her get prepared. Now, she's not in tech. She's in financing. But
I love that.
Now,
that type of sisterhood.
Yeah. And this spans into tech too. But now, she's making over 6 figures, which is obviously very easy to do in our profession.
And but I think I read this stat when we were in the real height of the pandemic. Like, I think it's less than 40% of the whole country makes more than 100K.
It's shocking. Like, I told my daughters, I want to be able to eat and pay bills all in the same month. I want to to be able to do that, and I can't do that if I'm not making a certain amount of money.
Let alone forget enjoying yourself a little bit outside of, you know, paying those bills and the essentials.
Now,
if you're not making a certain amount, you know?
That's a bit of a hyperbole. But yes, you can absolutely have a decent living and not make a certain amount of money. But
it's the extras for me.
Yeah, we're meant to enjoy the fruits of our labor.
And indulge.
Exactly.
Splurge from time to time.
Exactly. And I'm all for helping people understand what their options are and helping them choose what's best for their next move in their career.
I'm all about it too. And this is why we're here. This is why we have this space for us. What do you think the future holds for UX design? What are you looking forward to? What do you want to do next, kind of thing? I asked this question because someone asked me like something like, when is it enough? Or like, when are you kind of... And I really don't think like that. I don't think anything is enough. Like, I always feel like there's a level up. I always feel like something else can more abundance can come, or new levels of different things. So like, how do you think about that now?
The definition of success really depends on, this is an individual thing. Like, I can't see myself as like the CEO of some super large tech firm. That's not my aspiration. Because for me, that requires a whole lot of more work in this same field of being in the corporate ladder. You know, in this cycle, and that's not what I want to do. What's next for me is that I'm learning how money works and using my current role as a vehicle to be able to create generational wealth. Now, what I can say for the outlook of UX, I'm excited for it. I think I'll be in this industry for a very long time. But when we start thinking about how AI is, you know, starting to become a big player in that space, being able to be agile and versatile and be able to be flexible in times of ambiguity is going to be super important.
Super big skill.
Yeah, so being able to keep up with things is changing. So my advice to anybody is, when you see that there's large investments from these large companies moving in a direction, being able to understand whatever that new thing is and how that applies back to your role and what you can bring to it, you'll be set up for success.
I agree. I feel like that's one of my keys that I live by, as far as the last part of what you said is like how to take anything and apply it so that I can add value. Or apply it so that I can master it and then level up again, or whatever is the case. So I'm so happy to hear you say that. So we're coming on to our last little segment, and it's called Asking for a Friend.
Okay.
These are our friends that we're asking for.
Hey, friend.
So, number one tip or strategy for career success as a Black woman in tech?
Number one career tip: do soft skills.
Get those soft skills under your belt.
Communication, collaboration. Ooh, this looks delicious.
So pretty.
Scrumdiddlyumptious. Oh, thank you.
I'm so here for making this look like, you know, I'm really down for the cause. Yes. Let me just situate myself. Yeah, you can just put it right. That's her. That's mine.
Chicken salad.
Oh wow. It's a whole little bird. Thank you.
We'll be out short. Right.
Okay, thank you so much.
What's this?
Girl, no, I'm still on the list.
I did not know this had quinoa in it. I'm excited.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was good. Oh, so
soft skills mastery.
Communication. Storytelling. In our world, empathy.
Ooh, yeah.
Understanding the needs
Anyone, not stakeholder, manager.
All of that. Now that's a word right there. So we've been trained to think about the user, but in reality, you need to understand your manager. You need to understand your peers, cross-functional partners, your manager's manager. Yes, all of that. Understand their needs and be able to communicate in their language.
Yes, that's a key.
Yeah,
that's the key right there.
Yeah.
Communicating in languages other than your own.
That's
and what
right.
I mean by that is like, if I know someone only understands this is real life because this happens to me. I had to like get over this struggle at my employer.
Yeah.
You know, someone only understands things a certain way. And what I mean by that, like visual.
Okay.
So whenever you talk strategy,
you gotta have visuals.
It's looking like blank stares. It's
Or,
looking like
I got one for
questioning.
you.
So then you gotta you gotta have a deck, or you gotta have in our thing, in our world, you gotta have a user journey. You gotta have a persona.
Those are good communication tools.
Yeah.
But here you go. Project managers, product owners, they communicate based on deadlines and like feasibility. So you need to be able to communicate probably in a spreadsheet or some type of timeline.
So get that roadmap.
That's right.
Or get that Gantt chart.
That's right. That's exactly right. And what are the risks involved? It's really important to understand what people need. And the best way to do that is set up one-on-one time with them and ask them.
And document it. Job hopper or company loyalist? Neither. In between.
I can't say that I'm a job hopper. I will say,
because you invest a little bit of time.
Right. And if I feel like a company, there's still growth opportunities for me at a company, and I can still provide value, and I'm still intrigued by the work, I will stay longer.
And those are your metrics for knowing to stay.
Yes. Well, not just that, it has to be a good work environment too. But I have to be able to learn and grow and expand beyond whatever is written in that job description.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah, so it's hard to say.
Then you're kind of stuck and stagnant.
Yeah.
So, what are some must-haves or non-negotiables when negotiating compensation?
I'm always pushing for the moon. I'm reaching for the moon every single time. So I'm gonna know I'm gonna know what this role is worth here and in other places. So I'll be able to speak intelligently about why I should be making a certain amount. But no longer are the days where I am worried about work, staying up super late, spending weekends. I am past that point in my career. I wish I had learned that earlier on in my career. But that's non-negotiable. I need to be able to have downtime.
Your time. You got boundaries on time.
That's right. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Adobe XD or Figma?
Figma. That's not even a question. Oh,
well, it's really a trick question because it's the same thing.
I know.
A little bit.
I think they're gonna screw it all to hell.
I agree. Preference on manager? Male, female?
Doesn't matter. As long as they are supportive and basically supportive and competent. I don't like passive managers. I've had a few passive managers.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me either at all. Favorite way to unwind after a long day / week of work?
I'm a big old foodie, and I like food. So I'm getting my little specialty teas. It's been like a long day. I may not be cooking. I may be ordering something really like steak or a really big salad, but it has to be like super good.
Okay.
I'm going to splurge.
You gotta drop your favorite restaurants for us in the
Okay.
so we can put in the show notes.
I've got some.
And then you need to drop those compensation resources
Okay.
for checking.
Okay.
And then how do you celebrate yourself? How do you give you your flowers?
Well, there's one thing that I do every day. I've been doing this for 2 years now. Before I get out of bed, before I look at my phone, before I do anything, I say things, no matter how big or small, 3 things that I'm thankful for. So,
I do that too.
yeah,
It really changes the game.
it does.
Start your mindset off right.
Yeah. So, and sometimes you don't have like big things happen to you every single day. But sometimes I'm just happy for my mobility. Just being able to.
That I actually got up.
Right.
That I actually swung my legs over the side of my
And the fact that I can.
Yeah.
So I start there with just being thankful. Even the smallest things are big things. But also reminding myself that I'm doing pretty good. I've come a long, long way. This is someone who has gone through the first 37 years of her life, undiagnosed ADHD, raising 2 kids, single mom. Like it's a whole thing. And seeing how far I've come, and then once had an aha moment and realized, oh, these are the things that I need to correct and improve. It's just kind of been exponential for me since then. So, yeah. It's so important to give yourself grace too. It is okay.
It is okay.
Yeah.
Sometime at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm trying tomorrow. Like, throw that in the trash.
But look at you. Look how the mindset has gotten you to where are we, Lincoln? Here. Dinner with friends. Bloomology. You know your niche. You're successful. All of these things. And that's just a small piece of your world. It goes a long way.
So let's take this time to cheers to that. Cheers to you. Give me your flowers. You as
You gotta drink it.
A black woman killing it. And so just want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And being our first guest.
Yeah.
And, I don't even need to say anything else because we're like friends in real life. So this week's table talk is over. Thanks for sitting with us and pulling up to our table. Hope you enjoyed the good food and the good conversation. At Bloomology, we love a good career kiki on this side of the internet. The vibes were sponsored by Lincoln Street Kitchen and Cocktails in Charlotte. Huge shout out to them. We ate, we served, we saw, we conquered. The food and the career strategies and advice were all top tier. So wait, before you go, make sure you join the sisterhood of bossed up black and brown women out here, having it all and making it all look good. I'm talking about the $8 a month membership community. Become a Bloom Insider. Join our community for black and brown women blooming and flourishing in their tech careers and living life in full bloom. If that sounds good to you, go to thebloomology.com and join us. The link is also in our show notes. If you really want to support us, make sure you click that subscribe button or that follow button if you really want to see us win. This way, you never miss an episode. If you're not a Bloom Insider, you're going to miss out because that's where you get full access to each and every episode. You get early access, you get the merch drops, the exclusive content, the live events, all the things just by becoming a Bloom Insider. Head to the show notes, click that link. See you at the next table, and don't forget to live life in full bloom.